now that Obi-Wan Kenobi show is done and the first season is a wrap, I think it's time to share what I think should have happened with this show. And the moment this show was announced, I kind of had my thoughts about where this show should go, and I had my thoughts about what the story should be about, and here we go. I think it should have taken place 3 to 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. For me, that feels like a more manageable time for Obi-Wan to not know about Vader. I feel like the 10-year mark is a little bit too much. We see Obi-Wan immediately not disconnected from the Force and actively doing the training Yoda gave him at the end of Revenge of the Sith before they separated.
In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you. An old friend has learned the path to immortality. One who has returned from the netherworld of the Force, your old master. Qui-Gon. How to commune with him, I will teach you.
Learning to communicate with Qui-Gon gives an opportunity to see the other side and what it takes to communicate with Force ghosts. Something that I've been wanting to see in Star Wars for a very, very long time. Finding out what the other side looks like, seeing Qui-Gon's side of things, and just having that training would be so cool to finally see in Star Wars. We still see him doing his day-to-day, which could stay the same based off the show. And instead, I heard about, and I don't have experience with the Legends content, but I heard that Kenobi would stay in shape fighting Tusken Raiders to help deal with his trauma and to keep in shape. That sounds awesome. Also, there needs to be more focus on his PTSD that he's specifically fighting through. I think it adds so much emotion and so much story to the character. I feel like if we got more of the mental side of what Kenobi was dealing with after Revenge of the Sith, I think that would have been a really powerful driver of the story. I think we needed more of that. And we get much more Vader. Show us what he deals with day to day, living as Darth Vader in the suit, tormented by the loss of Padme and the rage and obsession with Kenobi. We get to see Vader on the Jedi hunting missions doing what he does best and even taking out some Inquisitors because he didn't get along with the Inquisitors. Also seeing the mental side of Vader because we know he's constantly living in this back and forth battle and being conflicted. I want to see more of the mental side of things with Vader as well. And another thing that I heard about with Kenobi in Legends was the way he found out about Vader. And I actually have like a little bit more of an even twist on this. He hears a conversation from someone somewhere that Vader is wreaking havoc over the galaxy, hunting Jedi, slaughtering them, basically the muscle for the Empire. In that moment it hits him. He knows Anakin became Vader. In this moment, all the memories come flooding in, and the most importantly, the message from Padme right before her death, they're still good in him.
There's good in him.
The other version of this that I kind of more recently thought of, as he's communicating with Qui-Gon, training to communicate with him in the Force, him and Vader actually have a connection in the Force, and that's when it hits him, and later gets confirmation that Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, is alive. And this is what takes him off-world. The idea that you go back and listen to the dialogue from Revenge of the Sith.
I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
His pain for failing Anakin drives him to go seek Vader out. He leaves, again, leaving Tatooine breaks canon. It is what it is. But for the sake of the story, Obi-Wan goes and seeks Vader. That's what ultimately gets him off-world. The idea of Anakin being alive as Vader eats him alive. His failure as a mentor, leader, brother, feeling responsible for Order 66 drives Obi-Wan to find Vader and confront him. They have one epic interaction, and there's a lot more dialogue on Obi-Wan's side. He talks about Padme's message about him still having good in him. Kenobi tells Vader again that he failed him, tells him that there's a chance to come back. Of course, Vader, in a rage after years of hunting him, hears none of it and attacks hard. They fight. Somehow, some way, Obi-Wan wins the fight, and I envision something similar to Vader's fight with Ahsoka in Rebels, which is what played out in their final fight in the Kenobi show. That is all wrapped into one fight, one sequence. I think what they did in the Kenobi show, excellent. I loved every second of it. It's exactly what I wanted. Make that their one and only encounter, and somehow, some way, create some kind of distraction, some kind of reason that Obi-Wan doesn't have a kill shot on Vader, instead separating them, causing them to be separated from each other, which results in no question marks about why Kenobi didn't kill Darth Vader. What does this version accomplish? It fills all the gaps in any way of the Vader dialogue in the OT. When I last left you, you were the master. Obi-Wan once thought as you do. It keeps the Kenobi-Leia relationship more mysterious. It doesn't have Kenobi detached from the Force, and it shows an aspect of the Force I'd love to see, and includes Qui-Gon. Right from the jump. Includes Qui-Gon, talking to him. Maybe we don't see Qui-Gon, but we see the training. We see the evolution of the whole situation. Obi-Wan doesn't have lightsabers buried out in the desert. He's there with the ability to protect Luke if he needs to. He has everything that he needs to keep Luke safe. It shows all the mental struggles Obi-Wan is dealing with. Also, the story can still find ways to include the Inquisitors. We still find time for Leia. We include more Luke, especially the early on in the show. They're obviously a lot younger in my version because it's 3 to 5 years, not 10 years. So we kind of check in on them. We don't necessarily go on adventures with them. We just check in on them to see what they're up to. Overall, that's kind of my story, how I would start the story. The shorter time between Obi-Wan finding out Obi-Wan's not detached from the Force. He's still training, keeping up with the Force. He is doing the lessons that Yoda gave him when they left, which keeps him strong in the Force, which makes his one epic massive fight where we tie in all the lines and we try to fill in all the gaps and try to put a bow on that relationship. And you don't give Obi-Wan an opportunity to kill Vader, which also would kind of close that door and end any speculation of why Obi-Wan didn't kill him. And I think with the way the story progresses and ends, I think it's fine, but this is how I would start it.